Hey there, friends. I hope you are having a happy Moon Day Monday. It is Veterans Day. It is 11/11, and we are thinking of all of those folks who keep us safe, who fight for our freedom. Please tell a veteran that they are appreciated today, especially, and I've noticed a trend, purple poppy trend is to commemorate all of the animals who have lost their lives in the pursuit of freedom. So I thought that that was an interesting addition to our Veterans Day remembrances. I have new journals to go in the shop today. I wanted to take you through these. These are our Big Mama journals. I think that this one is a tiny bit smaller. I really can't remember. Let's see how big these babies are. Yep, this is 5 by 7. I thought it was smaller, but it's not. And 5 by 7, I never want to mislead you, which is why I always kind of try and measure these on camera so you can see how big they are. They are our Big Mamas, and just stuffed with all kinds of fun things for you to play with. We've got a beautiful bead strand. So this weekend I really needed beads, and I was like, I don't want to go anywhere and try and find beads. You know, sometimes it's not like that you need beads. It's just like you want to miss different beads. So anyway, I'm sitting here Saturday and I'm working and I'm thinking, you know, I could really use some beads. And I promise you guys, this is the miracles that happen on a daily basis. A package came and it had bead strands in it, and it was the super sparkly, really pretty bead strands. So thanks, Miss R. I think you were reading my mind. So we have some pretty new beads here. The fabric on this journal is a distressed vintage fabric. Now, I did distress it with white paint because it was vintage, and it had, you know, well, you can't really even see it. It had like a spot on it, and I thought, well, you know, I'll just do a little distress paint, and then that will, you know, kind of not only enhance the distress element, but, you know, it helps it just come together a little nicer. We've got a brag closure here. I did put really large stretchy strings on these. I mean, typically I'm going to have you open the journal like this. And remember, when you open it like this, it immediately becomes like just something that you can put on your desk and flip through as you're working on other art projects, which is a lot of fun, you know, just to have it fan out on your desk and inspire you. So I went to Michael's, I think it was for Thursday, and for Saturday, and got new paper pads. You guys, they had their paper pads, buy one, get two free, and I was just so happy because that, like, yeah, that fit in with my budget. I got new planetary stickers from Miss Trills. Thank you, Miss Trills. Sent me all kinds of paper, all kinds of fun things for us to play with. I can't unpack the pockets because they are just slam full, but you can see the papers, the magazine pages. You guys, I love magazine pages because I think that the imagery in a magazine page is very inspiring. Look at that fella right there. Look at Mr. Froggy. Is he not just the coolest thing? I love the texture on his head and the colors on his head. So we can look at all of these things as inspiring and be able to use them in our art. This is the Iroquois arithmetic book, a vintage book. I did take the liberty of spraying, and I did not have the sprays that I could not spray. I just dribbled over these sprayed pages, and it worked really great. I love the blot. You know, it left an authentic blot. an authentic ink blot, not something that, you know, is recreated somewhere else. We've got journaling cards for you to play with. We've got some tickets. We got art trading art trading coin blanks. I just love the words get lost. It takes on a lot of connotations, right? You can tell someone to get lost, or you can get lost yourself, which sounds like maybe not such a great thing, but you know what? Sometimes you need to get lost. You need to get lost in something wonderful. You need to get lost. Lately, I have been getting totally lost in books. I have the Libby app on my phone, and it lets me access library books, and I love it. I'm rereading books that I read when I was maybe, I don't know, 10, 12, something like that. I reread A Wrinkle in Time, which was extraordinary. I read The Giver by Lois Lowry. You guys, it's a dystopian novel based on a 12-year-old. So I just can't even describe it. The concepts are amazing. You know, there's a population control concept. Puberty is not encouraged, but as soon as an adolescent shows signs of a stirring, is what they call it, they are medicated. There's not a love concept, but there's a family unit concept. It's just a great book, you guys, and I think that I was able to read that like in a day. This is a piece of leather. It is 8 by 5.5, so that makes a nice little passport notebook for you guys if you'd like to experiment with something like that. The book, just read it. It's really easy to read it in a day, and it just gives you a whole lot to think about. You know, kind of the same way that A Wrinkle in Time, you know, is based on these metaphysical concepts, but directed at kids, right? The books were written for adolescents. So worth a total, you know, revisit if you've never read those books before. I love the Maori culture, and Miss D sent this. I love this right here. Now, these are everyday vocabulary and phrases and objects in the Maori culture, language, of course, in New Zealand. So I love things like this. I think it's so fun to, you know, just think about that concept. Think about different languages, you know, and depends on what stories you gravitate to, you know, whether it's the Tower of Babel, where where God said, hey, you know, you guys are really like you're communicating too well, so to baffle you all, I'm going to make different languages. It's, you know, language is such a thing. Language is it's a barrier, but it's also such an intriguing concept and such a wonderful study. When I was a teenager, I took French, and, you know, I was actually pretty good at it. And now, you know, I've pretty much forgotten it. I can still honestly kind of read French, but I don't know how that happens because it's kind of a mystery. Again, the shiny ink blots were just so much fun to do. This is a piece of packaging. You'll notice some stamping in these books for you guys to play with as well. A little bit of, you guys know how fond I am of coffee filters at the moment. I love the way this whole pocket came together. You know, and we always talk about verbal cues and prompts, right? And I think that the word baggage is a great prompt. And this is just like a journaling card. Whether baggage is something that you, and you know, we think about the KonMari thing, and I made a sale on Facebook the other day, and my customer was talking about doing Swedish death cleaning, and I was like, yeah. So we just had the most pleasant conversation. She was just the sweetest lady, talking about how to bust clutter, basically. And when I do like sales on Facebook, I'm kind of just clutter busting, but it was a very interesting conversation. I think that now is a great time to kind of think about food elements. Another wonderful little journal prompt: what are your favorite foods and why? And your food memories, and your food memories with your family or solo. Also, these books, these journals have mini books in them. So you can play around with that. Stick one in your purse. Make it a gratitude journal, because November is the time for gratitude. Though I think every day should be a day for gratitude. We got new stickers from Miss Trills, which are awesome. A lot of elements from these National Geographic magazines that are so beautiful. I'm using envelopes now. Just little envelopes that I get in the mail. I've become very intrigued with anything that comes in. You know, I like to repurpose anything that's coming in into things for journals. So that's been a lot of fun of late. So there we go. We've got a little bit of vintage fabric for you. We'll call that one Vintage Flowers, though I probably won't remember that. This is one of my very, very favorite fabrics. I got this for my birthday. I love it. It is almost gone. I think I'm going to have to make myself a journal of it before it's totally gone. There's just something so happy and whimsical about these little flowers. I finished it off with a selection of random, abandoned, misfit beads and things like that. Even used a few alphabet beads in here because they're just fun. So let's take a look inside this one. And I just realized that, you know, they're both blue. So it must have been a blue day when I was working on these. Like I said, I've been working on them for several days. I kind of did a binge journal making, which is so much fun. I really love to, there's nothing about the process of making books for you guys that I don't like. I love every sliver of it. I love every piece of paper that I put in here. I just love the creation of these books. And thank you guys so much for supporting, you know, for supporting my book addiction and the way that I love to put things together for you guys. This is from the 1934 Iowa Housewives Cookbook. I think that the advertisements are so much fun. This, again, is wrapping paper, you guys, from New Zealand. Hands down, New Zealand's got it when it comes to wrapping paper. Some of the most beautiful wrapping paper I've ever seen. I love this image. It reminds me of, you know, I grew up in the 60s when we were thinking about, you know, going to the moon, putting people in space. And even now, I'm just so intrigued with anything that has to do with space or space travel or time travel. Things like that are just very intriguing, and I really do like this little image. This is an image from a book that features 1940s, 1950s wrapping paper, and I thought the image framed by the sparkly paper was just fun. I know you guys can do a lot with that. Again, things in the books are curated. You can see how this magazine image and this sprayed pattern paper work well together, because it just gives you a little jump start, right? You can use books like this to, you know, as a warm up in the morning, as a cool down in the afternoon or at night. You can do it as a challenge journal. Just use things out of the journal. Lord knows there's plenty to choose from. This is a little mini book for you guys to play with. Anytime you see images that are put together with a paper clip like this, you guys, these are images that I pulled together by harvesting magazines. They're color coded. They all go together, and I think that you guys will really enjoy the imagery that we pulled together for you. It's fun to collage, but I think sometimes people kind of get lost in it. But if you have a curated stack of magazine images, then it just makes it a little bit easier to get started with a collage project. Encyclopedia pages. This is Polish. I think that book is from 1878. Again, the leather. Now, this is upholstery leather, okay? So it's not leather, but I will tell you it smells just like leather. So I don't know the big difference. I just know it's from Chris's stash that he was finished with when he did some interior work for a car for some folks. Flight number, departure, arrival dates. Maybe you're traveling over the upcoming holidays. I love pictures of babies. I think that's very inspiring. And this is an envelope right here. This is from an encyclopedia. A technician assembles artificial hands at various stages of completion. A finished product looks like a real hand and is capable of several motor-driven functions. Again, there's just space imagery here that you can play with. Alphabet stickers, alphabet letters, numbers, papers, art trading card blanks, art trading coin blanks, and some imagery here. This is crazy beautiful paper. There's a bird here, a vintage bird back here. Maps. Frogs. I love the froggies. Anything that has been coming in, like I said, is becoming fodder for my books. I think it's a lot of fun to use what comes in on a daily basis. This is a beautiful photo. Antonin Artaud, a French actor, director, and dramatic theorist, appears as Jean-Paul Marat in the 1927 film Napoleon. He had chronic mental disorders, but he was a crazy, wonderful actor. This reminds me of Alhambra Palace, but I don't think it is. Another ink blot, a Four Reels ink blot, guitar sticker, a little star back there. I'm always intrigued by food photos. I'm always intrigued at the arrangement of food photos. The bowls, the napkins, the countertops, the whole thing. It just is it's very artsy. It's a whole different kind of art. It's a whole different kind of collage when you think about it. I have a map from an old encyclopedia, and this is the last pocket here. We've got a sweet little moth right there. Some ABCs, art trading cards, stickers, a little bit of Halloween, Christmas, Halloween, just all kinds of things to play with, my friends. And playtime doesn't really, I understand it's seasonal, but it doesn't have to be. You know, you can use spooky imagery to journal about your fears. You can use Christmas imagery to journal about memory. You can use the different elements in a journal. A photo is a wonderful journal prompt. It's so much fun to put these together for you guys and to see how you use them. It's just wonderful. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Stay tuned for a couple more videos because I do have 4 more journals beside these 2 to get in the shop today. Thanks, y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.